Marty here again with warehouse and operations as a career. You know, sometimes we kind of get focused on the definition of a word and we can forget what all it really can entail, and I think safety is one of those words for us. I asked several people in my travels last week, what does safety mean to you? And I received some really good, impressive answers actually. The thing I noticed was the answers were things that directly affected the individual. Order selectors mentioned things like turning in my pre-shift equipment reports, slowing down when approaching the docks or coming out of the aisles. Here's one, giving the forklift drivers plenty of room. Oh, and honking my horn. I heard a lot of honking my horn. Speaking with the forklift operators, I heard things like making eye contact with pedestrians and other equipment operators. I thought that was a really good one. Placing my forks properly under loads. Watching the tail end of my lift when turning. Another good one was slowing down on docks and at cross aisles. And again, plenty of honking my horn. Of course, honking our horns is pretty much drilled into us as equipment operators. I really think every training class I've ever sat in, has brought up honking your horns. In a couple of the production facilities, it was things like sheathing my blades properly, checking out my hand tools before using them, and keeping my workstations clean and safe. A clean workstation is so important in that kind of an environment. I really like that one also. In 3 different facilities, hydration was mentioned. I was quite impressed with those teams. Actually, I was thrilled and impressed with every person that I spoke with. Safety was on their minds, and they could speak to it without any hesitation at all. But I noticed every answer, although every answer was spot on and dealt with the individual's position or task, it was very specific to what they did. I know if I had spent more time with them, the list they presented to me would have been much longer, and I'm so glad everything mentioned dealt with their personal safety and the safety of others. But kind of back to my point, I think sometimes the broader meanings can escape us, like with safety. So today I've asked Joe, our WAOC safety go-to official, to call in today and help us out a bit, pointing out some of the broader, maybe some broader definitions, points, or things we don't think of every day. Joe, thanks for calling in. How you been, sir?
Oh, just great, sir. How about yourself? It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Doing fine. Fantastic, actually. One thing I've always thought of when I think of safety are our warehouse policies and procedures. Every facility has them, to one degree or another. Several are pretty standard for auditing purposes, whether third-party auditing preparedness for the companies or customers, regulatory audits, or things like our GMPs or general manufacturing practices, things like that. What is a few of them? No food or drinks in the warehouse, no chewing gum. Of course, no spitting on the floor or in trash receptacles, no glass containers brought into the work areas. What's a few others? Oh yeah, in the production world, things like no painted fingernails or jewelry of any kind, things like that. Those are safety practices too, correct? And are really things that we all should have in the forefront of our minds.
That's right, Marty. All rules are put in place for a reason. Most warehouse and manufacturing facilities have some kind of pre-shift meeting happening or some kind of get-together before they actually start work. And during these little meetings is a time for leaders to also review the troops, if you will. This is an opportunity to make sure everyone is wearing their PPE, dress codes are met, any required announcements or information that needs to be passed along can be, brought up at that point. Make sure no one has on anything that could get lost in production. That's why they have the no painted fingernails, because no one would want to pull, a fake nail out of some kind of food product or, nail polish stuck to a bag, or maybe even pull somebody's ring out like in a real Cracker Jack box. Things like that. In a warehouse environment, this will be when the safety talks and equipment and PPE are also given. Cell phones are a real no-no with equipment operators especially.
That's true, and those are very, very good points. Almost every type of facility dealing with inbound freight or trucks should be using some type of documentation probably for inspecting trailers or containers, that bump their docks. Quick true story. Many years ago, I heard a guy opening his dock door and rolling up his trailer door and spotting a cat running out of the trailer and across the dock. I guess it had gotten locked in there during the loading process somehow. Luckily, the animal was pretty easy to catch. They actually called the city animal control to come by and pick it up. Anyway, in some instances, we'll need to record the seal numbers, documenting no one has added anything to the load or taken anything from the trailer, and recording temperatures if we're dealing with a refrigerated trailer or refrigerated freight. And it's probably really important to check the floors or sides of the trailer for weaknesses or holes anyway. These are all safety practices as well, right?
And very good practices at that. Part of those simple checks, Marty, save us from, tragedy, from liability, from having a good day go right to a bad day. We already work hard and, we already sweat and everything else. We don't need any extra little frivolous and stressful things happening to us at work. Some of those little checks could save you from having a bad day and falling through somebody's trailer, or from receiving a load that when you're going to turn in is X degrees over the acceptable temperature. Basic common sense checks can help us more than your safety at times.
That's so true. Those are really good points right there. And, that's really kind of what made me start thinking. We ask for some of our listeners' actual safety practices from your facilities, or some safety practices that you'd like to see at your facilities a couple of weeks or episodes ago, and I wanted to go over a few of those thoughts as well today. I was quite impressed with the positions or tasks and the ideals that were brought up. That's really what made me think of the whole broader definition thing. Anyway, let's see. I'll read off a few of the thoughts that were sent in. Let me see. From a payroll associate with a large staffing agency, and she states, I do payroll for about 8+ hours at a desk with a high volume of phone calls and documents that I print to view and or submit into reports. I have 2 screens for my computer and a wireless keyboard. While working your average payroll shift, things can get pretty busy and your workload increases tremendously, so you have to be cautious with those important documents. I think lids on cups should be strongly suggested so drinks can't easily be spilled on the electronics or the important papers that are to be submitted to upper management or customers. She also mentioned another point I consider safety in my work environment is the safety in more of a clerical way with data you read or work on. We deal with confidential information all the time and or have to work with personal information such as addresses, etc., and we have to safely secure and store the documents so others don't have access to them or see them that aren't authorized to do so. Thank you, and I hope my practices help someone in a position or work environment like mine. That's really a great example of a safety practice, and one many of us would not have even considered to link to the word safety. I really like that one. A great practice from a production environment was, let me kind of summarize here. Each day, an associate brings up a topic and gives the 2 to 3 minute startup meeting rotating through the shift monthly. Everyone votes on the best topic of the week, and the winner gets to leave 2 hours early on Friday with the 2 hours being paid. I really like that one. That's a great safety incentive, and it encourages everyone to participate each week. Another incentive type practice is from a distribution warehouse. When everyone turns in their pre-trip equipment reports, wears their safety vest, and shows up with their steel toes and other assigned PPEs for the entire month, each shift is awarded with a pizza party for lunch. I think that one's pretty good too. Some quick ideas, thoughts, and comments that were given to us, and let me just kind of run through these real quick. We have very strong GMPs, and I had that one quite a few times actually. Sanitation and picking up our broken wood. We leave our cell phones in our lockers so we don't use them. Never drive our jacks fast on the dock, up front, or around people. That's another really good one right there. Honk our horns when turning our pallet jacks or coming out of a row. Always look before moving that first inch. That's one from way back in my day. All the safety practices always stated, always look before moving that first inch. Here's one. We cannot ever jump out of a dock door from the warehouse. We stretch and do jumping jacks before we start every day. That's a really interesting one there for the startup meetings each day. You know, these are some outstanding practices, and I want to thank everyone for sharing them with us here at WAOC, and thank you for your emails. We had a lot of fun with them, and we learned a lot.
We sure did, Marty. The thing about safety practices, they're good as long as you practice them. Remember, all things have reason, whether it's blatantly apparent or not. Just because at the time you don't realize or see the need or justification for it, it's there. Being safe is a full-time job, and it always starts with us.
You know, it does, and those were some very good things sent in. Well, I imagine everyone is wondering about the drawing or the giveaway. I guess now's kind of the perfect time slot to pull the winner. What do you think, Joe?
Let's do it. Let's see who the lucky winner is.
Okay, what we've done is place everyone's name into a Tupperware freezer container. We're a bit low budget around here, and I'm pulling one slip or name out right now. I should have put in some kind of a drum roll right here. Okay, let's see. And the winner is Jocelyn. And Jocelyn lives and works in Dallas, Texas. Coincidentally, actually, she is the individual that sent in the example we spoke of earlier. I think it's great that we have listeners across the board, upstairs and downstairs in the industry. Joe, being a safety officer, I guess you can relate to all kinds of safety practices that we need to be mindful of in an office environment.
Oh, absolutely, Marty. HIPAA is a very big thing, and that's in every business. Any business that collects any type of personal information from you is going to have those kind of electronic rules. Besides that, you always want to keep your work stuff confidential because there's other companies out there that are trying to steal your company's ideas to improve their business. So those trade secrets, and once again, you might not realize that it's a trade secret because you come in and do it all the time and don't think twice of it, but there's always somebody that's trying to move their company up and get into the next bigger and better thing, and that's how they do it.
That's true. I hadn't even thought of something like that. Jocelyn pointed out two really good ones for the office environment. I've seen safety managers check things like extension cords, checking like overloaded outlets, where we'll plug 10 things into one outlet, things like that. Actually, I had one safety guy was doing a walk one time upstairs, and he spotted a small fish aquarium in the customer service area. Of course, the first thing he did was make them remove it due to the extension cord. I think he called it being a trip hazard and the glass tank having too much water to be around electronics and such.
Also, Marty, you have to mind conditions and offices that don't want you to eat in a certain area or don't want you to have a cell phone transmitting. When I used to be a maintenance manager for a large industrial complex, we had to be very mindful of where we took our CB radios as well as where we took our cell phones because there was PLC units that controlled the machines that were real sensitive to those frequencies.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I haven't thought of that either. Well, congratulations, Jocelyn. Your $50 gift card will be on its way to you tomorrow, and we here at WAOC really appreciate you listening into the show, and thanks for participating with your safety practices. That was a lot of fun, and we'll have to do that again sometime pretty soon. So, Joe, I guess we should get back on topic here. Give us some of those maybe kind of uncommon safety practices, things not every distribution or production or manufacturing worker would think of right off the bat.
Marty, it's times like this that I worked at like a nuclear reactor to have something really cool to tell you. But for some of the common audits, whether for one of the large audit houses that specialize in food safety or if it's for a construction site or material handling, Audits are always typically pre-inspections from a different service, and they get you ready for your annual or semi-annual big inspections. A lot of these inspections affect business cost a lot of the times. If it's your insurance company that's coming out there and you don't do pre-audits first and they find something on there, well, chances are they're going to probably raise your premium or raise your rates. Receiving inspections when food arrives at a facility, that's one of the big important safety everyday checks that they do, and it's for the general public's health. It's one of those things where they have to make sure that the food is received at a certain temperature to be food safe. We're feeding our kids and our families these things, so that's very important. Some of the uncommon ones that I've recognized myself are, you ever see those little boxes that are outside of like doctor's offices or hospitals? That's where when a doctor takes a sample from you, they put it in the sample and a courier has to come by to pick that up and to take it. Well, those medical couriers are usually tested for HBV and vaccinated against HBV. So that's one of those weird ones.
Yeah, I was wondering why, those things are always sticking on the outside of the doors. I did assume somebody came and picked them up, but yeah, I guess that's for safety reasons, isn't it?
Yep. Another group of workers that are subject to those same Hep B vaccinations and stuff that we probably wouldn't think of are barbers, hairstylists, and salons. They too are also fall under the HBV Act, where if you have employees that are going to get exposed to that, then it's in your best interest to get those people vaccinated for Hep B. And, they use all kinds of, what are they called? Like microbials and disinfectants and stuff like that. You ever see the blue container that they drop, combs and that type of stuff in? All that stuff is, kills germs and is antiseptic.
Well, I would have never thought of those things. That kind of goes along with our subjects today, things we see every hour and we don't really associate them with safety. We are always saying how safety is everyone's responsibility and how it's important to follow directions and rules. Well, certainly it is. But today's discussion helped remind me that my focus really being aware of my environment and how it can really present dangers or possible situations. I've never really thought about it all. Joe, thanks for phoning in today. As always, we enjoyed the visit and the points you gave us to ponder.
Well, I'm glad to be able to contribute. Congratulations to our winner. Maybe we could do this again sometime, and who knows, maybe we'll have a couple winners next time. I know we shouldn't just limit this here, so I want to make sure that we invite all our listeners, no matter where you're at, to participate, and we'll make sure that we get in touch with you.
I agree 100%. And I'd like to thank those that participated today by sharing their examples and thoughts with our group. It's encouraging and really exciting to see so much interest in the practice of safety. And as always, a genuine thanks to everyone listening in each week. We really appreciate you and enjoying learning from our guests and really each other all the time. Until next Thursday, let's practice the old adage, think safe, be safe. And I'd like to add, practice safe.